Welcome to another episode of Accident Stories. I'm your host, Dr. Steve Eggleston. Today I want to tell you a story about a patient of mine who had arthritis in his neck a few years after he was in a car accident. The story we're going to talk about today is how to predict arthritis right after the car accident happens. This will be important information to your doctor and to your lawyer. I'm going to show you a few x-rays today. Not that I need to teach you how to read x-rays, but I'm going to show you something that you will have a little bit of knowledge of so that you can talk to your doctor intelligently and get the best care so you can get well. What we want to know is whether or not you have any torn ligaments in your spine, because if you do, that is an early predictor of arthritis formation in your neck after a whiplash. You're looking right now at an x-ray that I took of a patient of mine. This is a life-changing injury, but you can't see it on this x-ray. And this is the x-ray that an awful lot of doctors take. This is a mistake. What they're supposed to take is this film, which is called a stress film. Now this is a film where the patient was turned to their side like this, and then I had the patient lean all the way forward, and then I took the x-ray. And then I had the patient lean all the way backward, and then I took another x-ray, which you'll see in a moment. These are called stress x-rays. In other words, stretch the neck out to the end range of motion and then take a film. These two films, the flexion and extension, are standard x-rays actually in what's called a Davis series. Those are 7 standard views taken of the neck after trauma. Your doctor should be taking a Davis series. There's a word you might mention. Now, you don't see much on the flexion film because none of the ligaments in the back of the neck were damaged in this accident. This is an accident where the patient was in a rear end accident. You are now looking at a film that is called an extension lateral cervical. This means that the patient leaned all the way backward with their head, and I took the picture. And this is the film where you see the life-changing injury. Let's zoom in a little closer. I've drawn the lines of mensuration, the lines that tell us whether there's a stair step in between 2 vertebrae. First you draw a line on the top of the vertebrae below, and then you draw a line perpendicular to that line, one of them that intersects the top rear corner of the vertebrae below and the bottom rear corner of the vertebrae above. The distance in between those 2 parallel lines on this film is measured in millimeters, and the higher the millimeters, the more severely damaged the ligament is. Torn ligaments never heal. They just don't ever heal properly. What they do heal is with arthritis. So if we look at a film of a patient and you can see a stair stepping on George's line, we as doctors know that that is going to be a joint where arthritis will be seen in 7 to 10 years. Now I say 7 to 10 years because that's how long it takes for you to be able to see it on an x-ray. The actual arthritis starts almost immediately. In the beginning, when there's a stair stepping on George's line, you get muscle splinting, muscle guarding, spasms in the muscles of the neck because they're trying to hold your neck together because the ligaments aren't doing their job anymore because they're torn from the accident. After a few months, when the arthritis stops, the muscle spasms aren't needed anymore, and the muscle spasms simply go away. Then you know that the healing has begun and the arthritis has begun to form. That is how ligaments heal. Here's a case that I know of very well because this is my neck. I was in a car accident, rear-ended in 1985. There wasn't a lot of damage to my car. This is an x-ray that was taken 9 years later in 1994. You can see the same lines are drawn on the x-ray of my neck between the third and the fourth vertebrae. And there's a measurement between those two parallel lines of 4 millimeters. It's a very, very high number. Here's what happens. This x-ray of my neck taken in 1998, 13 years after the accident, shows significant arthritis formation at the front part of my vertebrae between numbers 3 and 4. The reason that the arthritis is occurring at the front part of the vertebrae is because the ligament at the front part of the vertebrae, called the ALL, or the anterior longitudinal ligament, is the one that was torn. Here's a picture of the x-ray of my neck taken 18 years after the accident in 2003. You can see that there is really bad arthritis, especially in the front half of the vertebrae, and the arthritis has become so bad that those two vertebrae are naturally beginning to fuse together. This picture, taken in 2010, was 25 years after the rear end accident that I was in 1985. As you can see, the front half of the vertebrae have completely fused together. This is how I know for certain that arthritis is the way the body heals. I've experienced it myself, and I have the x-rays to prove it. If you have been in an accident, you need to ask your doctor to check for stair steps on George's line and to check to see if you have any torn ligaments, which will most certainly lead to arthritis in your neck that's visible on the x-rays, not now, but many years down the line. It's important that your doctor know. It's important that your attorney knows, because these are compensable injuries. We know that if a vertebrae has no arthritis in it, but there's a stair step, then we know that that's a torn ligament. And we know, as sure as the sun will come up tomorrow, that that joint will become arthritic. I treated patients in my chiropractic office in California for 20 years. Then in 2007, I became a personal injury attorney, and I've been doing that ever since. I've handled thousands of personal injury cases because that's the only case that I take. Those are the only ones that I handle. I've handed out millions of dollars to my clients over the years. If you have been in an accident in California, whether you live in California or not, if the accident occurred in California, then I can represent you. If you're interested in talking to me about representing you for a California car, truck, or motorcycle accident, you can reach me toll-free at 877-424-4765. That spells for Chiro Law. So you can dial 877-4-CHIRO-LAW and ask for me personally. Ask for Dr. Eggleston. I'm not the kind of law office where you're going to talk to some paralegal and never meet the attorney or never talk to the attorney. You can speak directly to me. If you have learned anything from this and you'd like to listen to more accident stories, subscribe to this channel. If you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified every time I upload a new Accident Stories broadcast. I'm Dr. Steve Eggleston, and I wish you good health and a successful case outcome.